Coming up next on Eco Company.
Get ready for an eco challenge, going from conventional to conscious in 30 days.
So as you can see, these are the 30 themes. Every day of the month, there's a new one explored.
How one teen met the challenge and made a difference at home and at school.
Then, sustainability on the farm. A flower farm.
Just of the orchids, about 3 million plants a year.
We visit a nursery that puts the green into the word greenhouse.
Plus, we visit a recycled paper mill and look at the size of these rolls.
The rolls around us right here that we're looking at average about 2 tons each.
You'll be surprised at what your recycled paper becomes.
And we'll catch up with this guy. Since we last talked to him, he's been marching to bring teens together.
Today, there are marches being held in over 140 communities in over 25 countries worldwide.
He's leading the charge to speak out on climate change.
All that and more coming up
On Eco Company, starting right now. Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to Eco Company. I'm Jelena.
And I'm Josh. Have you ever sat down and really considered how your actions might affect the planet?
And what you could do to change your habits?
Well, this next group has, and they created a 30-day challenge to help teens live greener every day.
Josh paid them a visit to learn all about it.
We're here at the offices of Teens Turning Green and the headquarters for Project Green Challenge. This is obviously a working office. Let's go see what they're up to.
Lips Against Lead, Project Green Dorm, and now Project Green Challenge.
And we wanted to think big.
This is the home for all of the above, not to mention a few more. It's the Teens Turning Green headquarters in Sausalito, California. Judy Shills is the executive director of the student-led nonprofit.
And Teens Turning Green basically looks at lifestyle, schools, and community and works to eliminate toxic chemicals in each of those realms.
Today, interns Victoire Perez Vargas and Sabine Tessier are working on Teens Turning Green's latest undertaking, Project Green Challenge.
The ultimate goal would be sort of the tagline of the project, which is going from conventional to conscious in 30 days.
30 days, 30 green topics, and 30 chances to take action.
So as you can see, these are the 30 themes that belong to Project Green Challenge. Every day of the month, there's a new one explored.
Themes include school, paper, climate change, water, food, and fashion.
I would say organic cotton, that's a good one, because one doesn't think, but cotton is like one of the most heavily sprayed crops with like chemicals. And then to think that that's what creates like our clothes and it goes on us.
These guys helped research and write the challenges, which was no small task. Each had 3 levels, also making it a competition.
It's basically to give insight on how teens can incorporate green living into every day and how simple and easy it is, because these challenges are designed to only take about 20 minutes out of your day.
I joined Project Green Challenge because I don't feel like I live a very environmentally friendly life, but I aspire to live one.
High school senior Lucy Iglesias takes the challenge seriously. She reads up on each daily challenge before she even heads to school.
Why specifically did you decide to sign up and participate?
I've always been kind of interested in being more green.
One thing she's doing is trying out a new ride to get to school.
The energy challenge on Friday made me think about how much I drive. And so one way I thought that I could cut down on that is by taking the bus down to the BART station.
And her efforts to save energy don't end there.
I thought it'd be a good idea to turn down the temperature on our hot water heater.
And with her dad's help, she did.
And it turned out that it was up pretty high.
In the kitchen, she meets the challenge to conserve water.
So Lucy, tell us about this note you've posted here.
It says 1 cup per person. Basically, I was really tired of how many cups we always had on our counter, and it seemed very wasteful of water to be washing so many cups every day, when we could really each just use a single cup for everything.
It's something her mom, Anne, supports too.
I've become very conscious about the dishes and glasses that we use, reusing, minimizing our dishwashing load and reusing dishes and glasses when I can.
Okay, so Lucy and family are learning a lot from the challenge. but so are these guys behind it.
I've learned so much about recycling and the environment, and I felt like I knew a lot before, but then it turns out that no, and so by coming here, I got to know a lot more.
Some of their favorite challenges?
I would say mine is school, because that is the most immediate place for kids to start implementing change and start showing their passions by creating clubs, starting initiatives.
Oh, Meatless Monday. That was a cool one because the greenest challenge was about making a meal or like a menu without meat, so I thought it was kind of fun to create that.
It's just taking one day out of the week to, eat a meat-free meal, and the amount of carbon it reduces is actually a lot.
Project coordinator Jonathan Foley checks every submission, and he's been impressed by what he's seen.
We've had students who have started, eco-waste collection, electronic waste collections, totally on their own.
One of the challenges was to raise awareness about responsible electronics recycling. So I created this station for students to drop their electronic waste.
Hearing all this is all the reward Shills needs.
And to hear kids suddenly becoming activists around issues that they really care about and knowing that their voice matters is why we wake up to do this work every day.
When I got here, I can't say I was expecting the amount of work, but I also wasn't expecting it to be as gratifying as it has been.
I definitely feel like I have a lot more power than I thought I did in changing my own actions and in changing how my family makes lifestyle choices.
I feel her consciousness has rubbed off on me, and I think I'll feel her little spirit on my shoulder, nudging me away from some of my old bad habits.
It's really about trying to learn what you can about your habits, try and change what you can about your habits, and sort of put yourself in perspective of what your actions can do to the earth and the pollution you cause.
It's an ongoing mission to make the planet a healthier place for us all, one day at a time.
So many different aspects of our lives are implicated in pollution, and to see that we can change them.
So it's been really very heartening and hopeful to see how kids are willing to step up, what they're willing to do to save the world, basically, and save their planet.
Up next, millions of beautiful flowers.
Favorite part of my job is that the scenery, you can't beat the scenery.
We're visiting a nursery that puts the green in the word greenhouse.
Then, bales and bales of recycled paper. What happens to it all?
We produce a clay-coated recycled box board that we see turned into macaroni boxes and cereal boxes and soap boxes.
We go inside a paper mill to see how this becomes this. More Eco Company is still ahead. Ever wondered how the word greenhouse got its name? Well, you won't anymore once you visit one nursery who's taking growing green seriously. Jalena's taking us to Rocket Farms, a place where growing flowers is about more than just beauty.
We all love the beauty of flowers, but have you ever stopped to think about all of the resources and energy that goes into growing them? We visited one farm that's doing a lot to reduce their carbon footprint. Flowers and greenery everywhere you look.
Just of the orchids, 3 million plants a year. But then we also grow other things like poinsettias. We do a couple million poinsettias a year, and then herbs. We do a lot of basil, organic basil.
It's all eye candy for Vice President Mark Clark and head grower Kyle Harmon at Rocket Farms.
Favorite part of my job is that the scenery, you can't beat the scenery.
This is Rocket Farms Nursery in Salinas, California. Just one of many for the third largest nursery in the U.S. And with such a big operation, Clark says sustainability is a no-brainer.
For us, it's just a natural because really, we're really a bunch of farmers.
At Rocket Farms, the greenhouses really are, well, green. I understand that there's a lot of recycled materials that went into building this. What exactly does that mean or look like?
Okay, what it means is pretty much everything inside this building, with few exceptions, was from old recycled material that we used when we tore down other greenhouses.
We buy recycled glass from other greenhouses to replace the roof on this house. Many of our orchid houses are about 95% recycled.
You see these pipes here that are vertical? The entire skeletal structure of a greenhouse is all used with recycled materials.
Oh, it looks so shiny and new.
I know it does, but if you look at it, it's actually really old pipe.
As for these,
those are all recycled, used from another greenhouse. So when we tore that down, we ended up saving the fans, and then we were able to use them all in here.
they're also saving energy in ways you might not think about.
Many of our houses also have heat curtains. We use double heat curtains to retain as much heat in the wintertime and as much cooling in the summertime.
And these hand-built moving benches do the trick too.
We can actually get more plants per the same amount of area, which means that in terms of our energy usage, we're using less energy over more plants. So it's just less per unit, so it's a better way to go.
They don't stop at greener building. It's how they grow things too.
We reuse a lot of our soil. We take it and we put it in a big pile, and then we use excess steam from the boiler that otherwise would just be vented to the outside, and every night we take it and we re-steam that soil and then we reuse it.
They also recycle between 20 and 40 tons of cardboard and plastic every month.
When we start, pots, things we use come in a lot of cardboard. All our cardboard is recycled. We use a lot of cardboard for our orchid packing. Everything here is recycled. All our plastic pots are recycled.
Saving water is also a major goal.
As you see is here we do a lot of it on drips, so we use minimized irrigation so you get exact to the plant water so you don't have any runoff.
Moss, sustainably harvested off the forest floor, also gets props around here.
One of the things that the moss does is it allows us to use a tremendously small amount of water. You only have to water them between 20 to 25 days if you grow in this moss.
There's also something else going on here.
And then the other thing that we do is we take little seeds from the farmers and we transplant those into trays and we grow small plants that get transplanted out into the fields.
There's something green about that, too.
When you grow them in a greenhouse, you're going to use a lot of less energy and a lot less water and pesticides to grow them to young plants controlled in the greenhouse than you would if you planted them in the field. So if you plant a plant out in the field, you've got to water it a lot, and most of that water just goes to evaporation or gets lost.
So from planting seedlings to growing orchids, poinsettias, and more, Rocket Farms is doing things the best way it knows how, sustainably. Coming up next, recycling pizza boxes? It can be done.
We have a process that can take that pizza box and recycle it, turn it back into good paper.
We go inside a recycled paper mill and see how this becomes this, and how it gets used.
Then Alec Lors tells us what he's been up to. This is one green teen who isn't slowing down. In fact, he's marching, and we'll find out why. More Eco Company is straight ahead.
If you thought tossing paper into the recycling bin was hard, think again. That's the easy part. It's what happens next where the real work comes in. And we sent Josh in to see just what happens to that paper at the recycled paper mill.
When you walk down the cereal aisle at your grocery store, have you ever considered that most of those boxes are made from paper that you recycle? We're here at this paper mill to find out how that happens.
Paper, paper, and more paper.
What is the weight of one of those large paperboard rolls?
The rolls around us right here that we're looking at average about 2 tons each. So about the size of a small Volkswagen.
It's everywhere you look at Graphic Packaging International in Santa Clara, California.
Okay, so we're almost there, huh? All right.
Dick Johnston is the mill's general manager, so he's in charge of making sure paper that comes in like this comes out looking like this.
What we do is we produce a clay-coated recycled box board that we see turned into tissue boxes and cereal boxes and soap boxes, macaroni boxes. A lot of the things you'd buy on a grocery shelf is what we make here as the raw paper board before it goes to the printer.
Here's the cool part. They're doing all this using 100% recycled paper. Cardboard boxes, newspaper, printer paper. They take it all here.
Craft fibers, which you see in corrugated boxes, are long and give us strength. News fibers out of newspapers happen to give us some filler and give us some bulk.
And yes, pizza boxes work too.
We have a process that can take that pizza box and recycle it and turn it back into good paper. The only thing we'd probably ask the consumer at home to do is that piece that's loaded with grease and oil, throw that one in the garbage.
Here's how it's all done. First, the bales of recycled paper get fed into the pulper. It's like a huge blender that mixes the paper with water. The pulper breaks down the paper into fibers and kicks out things like small pieces of plastic and metal.
Now that other one looked kind of gray. This one's brown. What's the difference?
It's simple. It's the difference of what you put in it. Again, hot water and agitation, and we break the fibers down, but this has a lot of brown corrugated fiber and a little bit of newspaper, where that had newspaper and a lot of white fiber.
The pulp gets heated to about 160 degrees to burn off those greases and other contaminants. It then goes through more cleaning before heading off to the paper machine.
Now this looks like mission control. What's going on in here?
Well, what's going on in here is this cabinet right here that you're looking at essentially controls all this pressing or squeezing that's occurring up here in the pressing section of the paper machine.
It starts here, where the pulp is poured onto the rollers and then pressed to squeeze out the water. That's repeated as many as 8 times to add layers of fiber. Finally, it gets a white top coat. Then, it's dried using steam and high heat, as much as 2100 degrees. Then, presto! You get the raw paperboard in these huge rolls. They are cut to the right width for specific products before heading off to the printer.
That's the brown stuff we saw. And then underneath this clay white coating is that whiter fiber. And if you take the edge of the sheet and you work it back and forth, you can start to split those plies. And we can start to peel it back. And if you peel it back, there's that whiter fiber. And that's what we put the coating over.
As you might guess, making paper takes a lot of water, but they do their best to conserve and even recycle.
So as we squeeze that water out, we use vacuum to pull it away, and then we start that recycling process because we recapture all that water.
They even produce some of their own energy.
Cogeneration, which means we take the energy that we use to make the steam, but first we put it through a jet engine, which turns a generator, so we make both power and steam out of the same energy.
It's a process that's all about saving energy, water, and reducing greenhouse gases. Something Johnston says we can all have a hand in, too.
Most of your paper products, we can probably handle in a recycling effort, and we probably ought to see it in the waste paper stream coming back to us than being put in a garbage container that goes to landfill.
Waste in landfills produces methane gas. Released into the atmosphere, methane is 20 times more harmful than carbon dioxide. So from the bin to the mill, and then to the grocery store shelf. It's an effort to reuse and help protect the environment too.
Recycled paper is really the way to go to spread the resource for the whole world.
Coming up, we catch up with Alec Lors.
A teen who's marching for climate change.
More Eco Company is still ahead.
He has a passion for the planet.
And for stopping global warming.
His name is Alec Lors, and if the name's familiar, it's because he's a teen you've met before.
But he's been so busy since we last saw him, we decided it was about time we filled you in on what he's been up to. Remember this guy?
I feel that I'm being called to stop global warming within my lifetime.
He's Alec Lors, high school student and young environmentalist.
Our voices matter more than anyone else, and we are already making the world better.
We first met this Ventura, California teen a few years ago. Back then, he'd already met environmentalist and former Vice President Al Gore. He'd already founded Kids vs. Global Warming, something he did at the ripe young age of 12. He'd started the Sea Level Awareness Project, and he was already a presenter with the Alliance for Climate Education.
So who is ready to do whatever it takes to stop global warming?
These days, he's bringing even more young people together from across the world to fight climate change.
Today, there are marches being held in over 140 communities in over 25 countries worldwide.
Our Jordan caught up with him to find out how he's doing it.
Alec, it's been a while since we last talked, so update us. What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, the big focus has been this I Matter March, just kind of making it happen and getting people together.
Lours is organizing I Matter marches, and not just in the U.S., but around the globe.
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now! Where did this idea come from? What's the goal of having these marches all over the world?
Yeah, really the thinking behind this is just, if we want to solve climate change, it's going to take more than just, changing light bulbs and riding bikes and just doing personal actions. And it's really, I believe it's going to take a revolution.
Lours believes young people are the voice of change, and he hopes his efforts inspire other teens to become public speakers and future environmental leaders.
We're not too young to make a difference. We're not too insignificant to make a difference. We have the power to do anything, and we have the power to change the world and to make our voices heard. So we can definitely make a difference.
So from the streets to the classroom to points A, B, and C around the world, Lours isn't slowing down as he blazes a trail of sustainability for us all. We can only imagine what he'll be up to next.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Eco Company. Thanks for tuning in.
For more info on the stories in the show, or to give us your feedback, visit our website at eco-company.tv.
Or check us out on Facebook. We'll see you back here next time
on Eco Company.